I never used the large club before. I used this weapon in my latest playthrough, and I'm completely blown away by the results. There are 2 hidden features about this weapon that we'll get to in a second. But first, let's go over some of the important features. The large club comes in with monstrous damage. At a plus 15 regular path, you'll be at 300 base damage prior to any scaling. This weapon scales excellently with strength, coming in at an A grade. It is exclusive with strength, so we're going to be hitting the soft cap when two-handing it at only 27 strength. This is minimal stat investment for maximum damage, which is something we all love to see. At 27 strength, the plus 15 regular path, you'll be absolutely pumping at 615 attack rating. Now, let's get into some of the crazy work that the large club gets into. On paper, it might seem like your normal great hammer. Heck, you might even say, "Hey Jiro, it's the same thing as the great club, so what gives?" That's where you're wrong, and let's discuss why. The great club has a lame overhead swing that's boring and ineffective. Yawn. The large club, on the other hand, has a heavy attack when one-handing it that is the wildest attack I've seen today in Dark Souls. In a good way. It has the same attack that the infested barbarians do in Blighttown. Right here is exactly the move I'm talking about. This dude, watch this. That is what you do with the one-handed heavy attack. It's amazing. You get down in this low, weird, crouched stance menacingly, and then in just a few frames from your game, you lunge forward so fast and so far and do a horizontal sweep, taking anything out in your path. Honestly, the one-hand heavy attack is so strong, I've been using it as a crutch for a little bit. It's hard not to want to start an opener with this every single time you get in a fight. Both the one-hand and two-hand light attack moveset is just a Chad 30-degree overhead slam over and over again repeating. Many people don't like this, but that's because they're weird Dex and Int users, so we don't have to worry about what they think. The riposte with the Hornet Ring is some kind of WWE-style double bonk followed up by a huge overhead slam. Same goes for backstabs when using the Hornet Ring. Riposte and backstabs are extremely fun and effective with this weapon. The second feature this weapon brings to the table is that it naturally has an auxiliary effect of applying poisons to your targets. The poison usually takes about 3 swings in order to build up and start taking effect. The damage isn't anything amazing. I think it's 540 damage over the course of 3 minutes. But it's nice having that little extra damage in PvE. It also applies a little bit more pressure in PvP. Poison itself isn't exclusive to the large club, but the only other weapons that natively have it are the Guardian Tail off the Sanctuary Guardian and the Ulusile Catalyst off the Ulusile Sorcerers in the DLC. That being said, obviously both these weapons don't have that lunging one-hand heavy attack, so this is truly a unique combination that the large club brings to the table. The large club also has great range. If we consult the weapons range spreadsheet we have, the large club has very good range compared to the rest of the weapons of Dark Souls, and it's middle of the pack when it comes to the Great Hammer class. Poise damage is also a great feature that comes with all Great Hammers. Great Hammers are tied with the Ultra Great Swords and having the most poise damage in the game. Almost all bosses that are able to be staggered will be staggered in just 2 light attacks from this weapon. The poise damage in PvE is great for a boss like Priscilla. She only comes out when you do a certain amount of poise damage, and man, this thing just busts her right out. Hello, here we are. How we doing? Okay. This 2v1 was the first invasion I did after beating all the bosses except for Gwyn. This encounter really set the tone for how the rest of the invasions were going to go. In PvP, almost all targets will be stunned in just 1 light attack. Since the swings aren't quite as fast as the standard hammer class category, stun locking in PvP isn't quite as easy, but it's still easy. As if the damage wasn't good enough, this weapon's also enchantable. Just makes it great. You won't be able to capitalize on enchants and resins as much as other faster weapons. It's still nice that this has that to offer. The large club deals strike damage, which is a desirable damage type. Almost no enemies have high resistance to strike damage, and heavily armored foes will be very weak to strike damage. A couple drawbacks that's worth mentioning: as with all great hammers, the large club is a very slow weapon. For both PvP and PvE, it'll be punishing for your damage output when you miss your target. It takes kind of a long time to wind up your next attack. The weight is also getting up there. Coming in at 11 Dark Soul units, it is one of the heavier weapons of the game. It's still the lightest in the Great Hammer class, which is great, and the only one that comes close to it is the Great Club, coming in at 12 units. But we still have to take this additional weight into consideration when it comes to how much endurance that you want to level, as well as whatever equipment you want to wear. You're going to need 20 strength to two-hand a large club. It's a bit of a stat investment that many dex and magic users might not be interested in. It does make the barrier to entry a little higher for somebody not doing a strength build, but since it only scales off strength, you would want to be leveling strength anyway. But the one scenario where this might not happen is if you just wanted to test the weapon to see how it performed. You just wouldn't be doing this unless you had 20 strength. The large club is a relatively early game weapon. You're getting it just right in Blighttown off the infested barbarians that wield them. The issue is the drop chance is kind of low, and the run back to a bonfire to reset them is also kind of far. This makes it a bit of a chore when you're farming them without luck on your side. Just like in my pickaxe video, I was able to get the large club in my first trip of farming this weapon, so I'm very thankful that I was able to get it. It's very common if you're looking online, a lot of people just complaining about farming for this weapon. It is not one of the better ones to farm for. You have a few locations this run. I tried once again not to just camp the Undead Parish in Anne Orlando. In my level range, it's 72. I'm kind of in a weird spot where at 72 people aren't quite beating the game and they're not onto New Game Plus, but at the same time, they've moved on from these beginning areas that I'm used to being in. Shout out to Brian Rapine, Volpus, Macrotus, and Arseny Jeandrick for making this run possible. These fine gentlemen right here are the ones who put this weapon on my radar to begin with. It's funny, I went back and looked at my original Dark Souls character that I used to beat the game for the first time, and I had 3 of these in my inventory. I never even thought to use them, but I'm happy I did now. What other weapons would you guys like to see reviewed? In particular, I love finding these sleepers that people don't really use but are very dominant, just like the large club. Thank you guys for all the support, and I will see you around.